One of the minhagim that we know in the Pesach Seder is that we have charoises. We take the maror, we dip it in charoises before we eat the maror. It's already brought in the Mishnah. Charoises is one of the earliest simanim that we have on the Pesach Seder, on the Pesach table. The Ameroyim in the Gemara gives different instructions to how to make the charoises. First of all, it has to have fruit in it. Fruit that it should have a sour taste, a taste of a sharp taste of fruit. And also it has to have a thick constitution. It has to be made in a thick way. Why? It has to have a fruit taste because it's symbolic of the tachas hatapuach underneath the apple tree, says the pasuk in Shir Shirim, and this reminds us of the great miracles that happened when the woman had to give birth in Egypt, and the Pari already decreed that all the sons have to be killed, and nevertheless the women were saved in a miraculous way. They went out into the fields where the trees were, and they gave birth under the trees, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu watched them and guarded them that nothing should happen. And the reason why it has to have a thick constitution, the charoises, reminds us of the bricks and the mortar that the Jews used in order to build during their slave labor in Egypt. Interestingly enough, the Rambam says that we dip not only the maror but also the matzah. The matzah has to be dipped in the charoises. The Ravid argues. The Ravid says, what kind of connection is there with the matzah and the charoises? And at first glance, it seems very strange. Matzah is a symbol of freedom, of liberty, of leaving Mitzrayim, and the charoises is reminding us of the time when we were in Mitzrayim, when it was so difficult. Furthermore, the Tosfos brings from one of the Rishonim that you should add also almonds. Why almonds? Because almonds is from the word shkedim. Shkedim means almonds, and shokad Hashem, it comes from the word that Hashem was busy. He was busy, he was involved in bringing the geula, so we should put also the shkedim into the charoises. And again, it seems like it's contradictory. Where at the one hand, it should remind us of the mortar of the time when things were so terrible and so bad, and at the same time we should put in also elements of the matzah, of the almonds, to remind us of the Yetzias Mitzrayim, of the Exodus. Yerucham Oshim in his Sefer Yerach Lamoidim says, based on the words of the Aderet, who explains the Rambam, that actually we know that the Yidden were supposed to be in Mitzrayim for 400 years. Arba Me'ah Shana, that's what Hashem promised Avram. At the end of Yetzias Mitzrayim, by Yetzias Mitzrayim, says they were there for 210 years, not 400 years. Why? So Chazal explained, Koshi Yashibud, because they worked so hard, that's why they left earlier, because they were supposed to be there for 400 years, a regular laborer. They were forced to labor in a terrible way, much worse than they were supposed to, so they left much earlier. Everything went much quicker. So it turns out that actually the more difficult the labor was, the better it was for the Jews. The quicker the salvation came to the Jews because of the fact that they were working so hard. So with this, says Rabbi Yerucham Oshin, says that's why dipping the matzah in the charoises is actually very appropriate. The matzah is a symbol of freedom, but we want to understand that even like Moshe Rabbeinu, when he came to Paro and he said, let everybody go, and Paro said, from now on, no more straw, you're going to make the bricks yourself. And Moshe said to Hashem, this is why you sent me to Paro, and everything got much worse. And Hashem answers, Atatir, now you'll see how I'm going to take you out with an outstretched arm. Now you'll see, says Rabbi Yerucham Oshin, that means not only soon will be the Gula Domer, now because of this it will come even quicker. Sometimes when we have difficult times and we live in difficult periods and difficult situations, and we think, how come it's so bad? How come it's so terrible? How come it's so hard? And really, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us, he says, I love you. Take the charoises, even though it seems so terrible, dip the matzah into the charoises. You should realize that I'm really planning. I'm planning and I'm trying to do it as much as possible that the Geula Shleima should come as soon as possible. It all depends on how do we accept the difficult times. The more difficult the times, the quicker the Geula will come. B'meher v'yameinu, wishing all of our dear friends a Pesach kosher v'sameach. We should be zeiche to be able to appreciate all the simanim, like the Mariel says, every single sim by the Pesach Seder is so deep and so important, and chas v'shalom to be mezalzel on any of the minhagim of the Pesach Seder. We should be mekayim chasal Seder Pesach kil chosai. We should perform the entire Seder like it's supposed to be, and we should be zeiche to the real Seder, to the real Geula. B'mehera v'yameinu, amen, chag kosher v'sameach.